Faith made some great improvements to their glaze gun drawer to help reduce the extra motion and frustration caused by having to search through random items to find what was needed. Thanks, Faith, for giving these items a nice, cozy home. Ryan and William come back with some other great examples of what good 3S'ing looks like. Ryan has taken the old battery pack shelf and improved it in several ways. First of all, the old rack was large, and you would think it could hold quite a few batteries, but in actuality, it could only hold like 3. It also had no indicator to tell what batteries were charged versus which ones were dead. This can add quite a bit of extra motion if an operator does not know he has just grabbed a dead battery until he tries using the tool. Ryan solved both of these issues with a simple new battery rack. And as you can see here, William has continued to tidy things up by creating a place for their quick-release band clamps, and has added a label to indicate what is inside the drawer without having to open it up. Small changes like these can add up to make a big difference when summed and compounded over time. The face frame team came up with the idea of taking their mallet and hinge hole punch and placing it on their moving clamp rack instead of inside the box at the end of the table. This reduces motion when they have to walk to the end of the table to grab tools, as well as less effort to attach to a magnet versus the effort of placing it in a specific spot inside the box. This improvement also helps to declutter the boxes and make other contents inside the box easier to acquire. Thanks to Mike, who suggested this quick improvement to the door department. When running long stock items through the edger, it is important to keep them tight against the fence so that they edge evenly across the entire surface. The longer the item is, the more likely it is to drift away from the fence. This required the feeding operator to use a decent amount of force to push the workpiece against the fence to make sure it didn't drift away, and could be quite cumbersome when feeding large quantities of trim or other long boards. Having the operator stuck at the feeding end also meant the operator could not leave this position until the piece was completely fed into the machine. Because of this, there had to be a separate catcher to catch long boards coming out the end. By taking 15 seconds to add a clamp and board to the table, this unpleasant task can be accomplished by the guide board and allow the feeder to feed products with much less stress, preventing defects caused by the lack of board guidance, and even allow more experienced operators to both feed and catch stock at the same rate. And this frees up a team member to add throughput to other processes. Benton had the idea of improving Kanban cards delivered to panels. The cards had a description of the part needed, but what they discovered was that defects were caused due to the potential confusion caused between half-inch thick material requests and 3/4 inch material requests, as well as the confusion between the thickness and the width requests. For example, if the card was calling for a 3-inch by 3/4 inch thick piece of material, it could get confused to be 3 3/4 inches wide and cut wrong. It required more effort to read the orders more carefully to prevent these kinds of defects. Benton had the great idea of separating the thickness identification number from the width identification number. To do this, the thickness number was placed in a completely separate area from the width identification number, and by color coding this number, it made it even easier to identify the desired width. Now the operator can see what is needed at a quick glance, and the likelihood of mixing these numbers up is almost zero.
And that is exactly why most people focus on the things that they cannot control rather than focusing on the things that they can. Habit number 1 is be proactive. Now, imagine you're at a funeral, but this one's different from all the funerals you've ever been to. You're standing over the casket and you see yourself. What do you have to say about yourself? This is one of the most powerful questions you could ask. Are you doing the things in your life which are aligned with what you want to be able to say? Do you want to say that you are a good spouse? If that's the case, how does coming home and instantly being negative towards your spouse affect that? Do you want to be remembered as a person who added value to society? If that's the case, are you doing the things that will allow you to say that, or are you scared of failure and choose comfortable mediocrity instead? Almost every one of us will have to readjust how we live when we ask this question. Habit number 2 is begin with the end in mind.